Oh my god, I totally forgot about this. The 1.5 billion Mega Millions jackpot was finally claimed.
By who?
Yeah, it was down in South Carolina because
course.
someone had won it. Everyone knew about it, but this apparently, hold on, was it a guy or well, whoever it was? I'm not gonna read this whole article, but they were smart. You know what I mean? They weren't like all gung ho and went like, "Oh yeah, all the money's mine. I'm gonna be public about it, whatever." No, like they
No.
waited.
Well, I mean, with that amount of money, I think the person would have to be smart about it.
You smart.
And not make it public, and that's
I mean,
a
yeah,
lot
no,
of money.
that is a lot of money. You're right.
That person just became a billionaire overnight.
Yeah. Well, actually, he did the smart thing and he took a lump sum, which is still, it's only $877 million.
Only.
Right. So the guy, you might as well just say he's a billionaire. That's so insane.
That's a ridiculous amount of money.
Highest lottery prize ever paid to a single winner.
Oh my god, dude. I can't. I know what I could do with $1 million, but 800. I can't even fathom that.
No, you're never gonna spend that in your lifetime. Nope. Literally, ever.
Nope.
Never.
I could buy.
Unless you. No, I can't. Just buy a country. I don't know. Is that a thing?
Just buy a country. I mean,
buy some islands,
maybe.
buy some countries.
Yeah.
Buy a couple countries. I don't know.
Yeah.
Become their like holy ruler.
Dude, can you imagine? Get some pygmies. Put them on the island. You work for me now.
My queen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the HotBar PodCast. I am your host, Adam Wolf, and with me, as always, the Russian, the Russian from Down Under, Dmitry Sechnikov. Hello. How are you doing? Yeah, no, I fucked it up.
Yeah, I'll go with it. It's fine.
Sechnikov. There you go. See? I got it right the second time.
There you go. Okay.
And today we're going to be talking about a very once again, like we kind of just come up with these topics, but not really like I don't have any questions for Dimitri because I think we can definitely get a better flow when we just pick a topic and we just talk about it. It was a good idea to start, but we need to start,
Yeah, the questions just come naturally as we start shooting the shit. So that's just the nature of the beast, you know?
Yes, they do. And today's topic is multiplayer and why companies feel the need to shove it in everything, especially my asshole. So it's really just, and what has brought about this question, this topic, recently is Anthem. Dimitri, you know about as much as I do about Anthem. I'm sure that whatever I've told you is pretty much all that you know. I have played the beta. You did play the beta too. So it's just like I don't know why.
Played it together, Adam.
Yeah. Still haven't put that video up. But anyway, I haven't played anything obviously past that because it's not been highly praised, especially for $60.
Not recently, no.
No, and so the question came to mind: why is this game multiplayer? I'm all for co-op. Don't get me wrong, but did this really need to be a multiplayer co-op game? BioWare is very well known for their single-player, story-driven narrative games, and they've done fantastically. The original Mass Effect trilogy, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO. And so it still comes to question, why the hell did they think they needed to do co-op multiplayer for this? And the only reason that anybody's ever been able to come up with is, we have to compete with Destiny. Yeah, because Destiny is super relevant.
Yeah. But in all honesty, I think that's what EA was trying to get at because, Destiny is like the big thing right now. Well, not not big at all. Not anymore. That's why I think people, when they were like looking into Anthem, we're like, oh shit, like this might be the next Destiny type game.
Right.
But God, I was listening to a few other podcasts actually, and I was reading up online about a lot of things, and just the game is just getting shit on by the fan base right now.
Oh yeah.
And it's because it's not polished enough.
Yes.
And the thing that I keep hearing from people is the fact that it's fun. Like the game mechanics behind it are kind of cool, and they're kind of innovative and new, but the core, like the story's all over the place.
Yep.
The game is super glitchy. The whole thing, and I think Destiny did this too, you can confirm it, but the whole like you can literally, if your connection is like super shit and like it takes you like 5 minutes to load in or something, and your other teammates all of a sudden are like assholes, and all they want to do is just instead of exploring, go right to the next waypoint, you're gonna spawn in and it'll like rubber band you right into that next zone, right?
Right.
It happened to us in the Anthem. I don't know, is that similar in Destiny?
No, the thing is that if you are in a dungeon, okay, this doesn't happen in the open world. The difference between Destiny and Anthem is that in Destiny, when you're in the open world, you're not doing a dungeon or anything, you don't just get warped to your friends. You guys can go off and do whatever you want. But if you're on a mission or you're in a dungeon and you get a little far behind, the game will automatically teleport you to wherever your teammates are. In Anthem, it happens no matter where you are in the world. And if you're... the worst part is that a loading screen occurs. That's the biggest issue with this game, is lack of content and loading screens. And that's where Destiny got it right. There are no loading screens. It just warps you and you're there. Everything's loaded, whereas this game seems to need the loading time for some reason. And it's completely contradictory to what they said prior to the game's release, where they said, we want things to be seamless. So it's just like, okay, do you want it to be seamless, or do you want it to be a headache? And at this point, the major point of contention is lack of content. This game was in development for 6 years, and it's got nothing in it. And it certainly doesn't have anything that showed. Yeah, it didn't have anything that they showed in the stream that they did prior to the game's release, showing people, here's what you can do with all the cosmetics and all this other stuff. None of that's in the game. And so that point, I think, we'd have to hand off to EA. We'd have to, congratulate EA for fucking that part up. But at the same time, we also have to think, again, it comes back to BioWare.
Comes back to Apex.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to BioWare and their decisions that they made on creating this game. It doesn't feel like BioWare made this game. But the worst part is that they did. And to those of us who have been BioWare fans with Dragon Age and Mass Effect and Star Wars, they've done phenomenal work. And yet, here they are with this thing, this $60 thing that nobody... Like, I'm surprised anybody's playing it, let's be honest. Some of the top streamers that are playing it right now, the top streamer that I know that is playing it right now is Towley. He's one of the OG streamers. Like, he's been there forever. And he seems to like the game, and that's fine. And I'm a big fan of looter shooters myself. I just recently played Division 2 beta, and I liked it. It was good enough for me. I think they got a few glitches to work out, but still, it's good enough for me. But this is not going to cut it, because apparently... I watched one YouTuber's video. He reached level 30, and that the very next day after he reached level 30, he got to the 3rd Grandmaster difficulty, which is, just 2 steps above, obviously. You got 1, 2, and 3. He got to the 3rd one the next day. Like, and every drop was minuscule amounts, a minuscule step above the last item that he had. So there was really no major progression.
Yeah, see, and that's where I think they could have actually done something, because if you look at the model of this style of game that keeps coming out, where it's basically, to your point, like these open world looter shooters, right? Where it's like, kind of grindy. Well, I'm not going to say kind of. It is very grindy. It's just, yeah, it's super grindy. Missions on missions on missions, like, and it's got that. To me, I'm only going to relate back to Borderlands, because it's like the first thing in my mind that I can remember that's like that style of game where it's like, oh, cool, like I keep finding like better and newer guns that are like that I can use in new ways and yada yada, something like that.
It's funny that you mentioned Borderlands because everybody compares it to that.
Right, and that's exactly. I mean, that's the feel that, because I feel like everyone started there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the grandfather game for these style of new games that we keep saying,
right?
Like for Destiny, Anthem, the Division, right? When it's funny because I got the Division for free when I had bought a new graphics card back in whenever that was. But I played it and I laughed because I'm like, holy shit! My buddy at the time had Destiny, and I'm playing the Division. And I'm like. This is literally Destiny, but in the hoods of New York City. so I'm like, all right, so this is the same game, just reskinned.
Right.
But to me, and one of the people from a podcast that I watch actually brought up a very, and it's actually from IGN. I'll credit them for that one.
Boo.
I know, but at least their podcast is fun to listen to. Those guys are entertaining. But one of them basically brought up a comment that said, and of course I'm going to blank on it right now.
Yeah.
God damn it. Here we go.
And for those of you who don't know, I don't like IGN.
All right. That's why I'm going to probably in that silence, I'm going to add in that comment from the podcast. God, that's gonna bother me now. Holy shit. Well, alright, whatever.
Alright.
I completely lost my train of thought on that one. Yeah, it's that style of just like super grindy, and there's no real. In some of them, it feels like there's no real progression, and like in Anthem, that's what we keep hearing, right? It's you hit the level cap, and it's like, okay, that's cool. What do we do after the fact, right? Is there new missions? Are there like harder dungeons? Like we played the demo and we saw that like you just said, there's that like third difficulty, right?
Yep.
That's like the top one.
Yep. Okay,
well that's cool, but like, what do we get for doing that? And by the sound of it, it's like, well, you get fuck all, right?
Yeah.
The drops are minuscule. They're not great. One game that is not anything like this is Path of Exile. And the end game in that is exactly what you want to achieve. And holy shit, wow, it's a single player game. You can play it with friends, but it's not meant to be a multiplayer game. Yeah, like they have this insanely intricate map system in it where you basically leveling up to like the point of, and it's cool what they did is they made it so you start a new character. It used to be similar to Diablo. It's like Act 1, 2, and 3. Rinse, repeat them through the 3 difficulties, and then they scrapped that whole idea, and now it's basically this one giant crazy awesome storyline of like 10 acts. Right. And by the time you hit like Act 8, you can actually start doing the end end tier content, which is in that game maps. Which is like that might as well be like a completely new game, right? Because when you start doing those maps, it's literally think of it as if you ever played a dungeon crawler, right? It's literally just like hundreds of different of maps, and you can add mods to them. You can have these different like effects happen on this like map now. It's like crazy intricate, and like they nailed it, right? Like that company, holy fuck, who made Path of Exile? I need to Google it because this is gonna. I'm so sorry, Path of Exile. I have 1,000 hours in you, and I don't know who made you.
Whap. Well, while he's
Grinding Gear Games. Grinding Gear Games.
Wow,
there you go. Chris
what
Wilson.
A fitting name.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, exactly right. Because you're constantly grinding. But they killed it, and now we get something like Anthem, where people are kind of like amped up and like hoping for all this crazy new content, and it's like, well, where the fuck is it? You know?
I think the worst part about Anthem right now is that, yes, it's a bummer that you get to Grandmaster level 3 like a day after you hit 30 or whatever. But the worst part is that it feels like there wasn't a whole lot of effort. After 6 years, you'd think 6 years, wow, that's a long time to spend on a game.
Yeah.
And it did have a few issues, I guess, during development. But when you look at the top tier guns, they look absolutely nothing different from the low level guns. It's the same model. It's the same gun model. And
now they're just orange instead of gray.
Right. And I'm just like, really? Like, that's stupid. It just makes no sense to me. And so it kind of is just blowing my mind right now that's what we have gotten after 6 years, is this shell of a game that was nothing like they showed off in their release stream or whatever, their preview stream. And so, again, we talk about this. This is turning into an Anthem podcast. I know. But it still comes back to, why was this a multiplayer game? Because EA felt the need to compete with Destiny, which, by the way, at the time of Anthem was not relevant. I know it was. I'm sorry. Destiny is a great game. I love it, but it's not relevant right now. Nobody's talking about Destiny. Everybody's talking about Battle Royales. Everybody's talking about Apex Legends, but they're not talking about Destiny. Maybe 6 years ago they were, but not now. And so why waste development time on making Anthem a multiplayer game when you really are not playing to the developer's strengths?
It's because they try to, and I actually kind of remembered one of the things that, it's not that fucking quote that I'm trying to remember, but it's the fact that each game company now is trying to basically put out a game, and I forget, basically the term for it or whatever is the fact that it's literally the WoW mold, right? Like, think of the original OG, all right, I'm going to play a game and I'm going to put thousands and thousands of hours into it, and the content is going to be insane, and you need to pay for it. It's like that monthly subscription, right? There's technically no end to it. That's what they're trying to achieve. Every game company wants a game where they can, it's not kind of like a one and done title.
Right. Live
service. It's just something where, there you go, live service. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to get. They want that live service game where they have high hopes for it and go, oh, if say we release like a standalone title and it completely flops, maybe with this live version, that small fan base, a lot of people are going to hate it, but that 10% of the people that played it still love it. They're going to stick with it, and they're still going to keep dumping money into it.
Yeah.
But the payoff, though, in the long run, I think they start to realize is jack shit.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's, it's just sad that is the direction that they decided to take it in, because, again, BioWare is so talented. They have so many amazing developers and writers and artists on their team that this is what they've been reduced to. And a lot of people are confused by the story. The story of Anthem, I guess on paper, makes sense. And a lot of people are saying the concepts of the game is very good. The idea behind it would have been fantastic had it been made a single-player experience. But EA, I'm still going to blame EA. BioWare has its faults. They are at fault with a lot of this stuff. That they developed the game. There's a lot of decisions that they made that did not work out. But EA is still the publisher. They still call the shots. And a lot of this comes back to EA. It's always going to come back to EA. It's basically, think of it this way. You got a manager, you got a worker. The manager tells the worker what to do. The publisher is the manager. And so EA had to have made a call somewhere down the line that said, we need to compete with Destiny, and this is what we want you to do. And so 100%. by not giving BioWare that freedom to create something amazing, something beautiful, because let's be honest, the world that they built is gorgeous. the outside world, the javelins, the character models, everything is beautiful. It's BioWare quality. But what isn't is the story. And so
the story, the actual gameplay behind it, and like even I'll give it to them, like the mechanics are actually sick in that game. Like the whole flying is really cool.
But that's all anybody ever talks about.
Yeah, right. I know. Did they spend like 6 years on like learning how to fucking fly? I think that was like the thing.
It's like, how do we recreate Iron Man in this game?
Exactly. That's literally probably what happened. They got into a giant room, like blazed up a little bit, and we're like, guys, can we make Iron Man a game, but not Iron Man?
Yeah, and sadly there was an Iron Man game and it sucked. But yeah, it's really just, I blame EA at the end of the day. You know, a lot of people, I've watched a lot of videos saying, well, the blame can go both ways. You can blame EA for some things and BioWare for some things, and you know what? Fine. That's true. BioWare can still make decisions for themselves, but at the end of the day, it's the publisher who calls the shots. They're fronting the money, they're fronting the marketing, and EA fucked this one again. And the worst part is, we have perfect examples of when EA messes with a product and when EA doesn't. Anthem and Apex. Okay, and I know we're coming back to Apex. We did a whole podcast on it the last time. But the problem is that Apex Legends is a prime example of what happens when a developer is allowed to do what they want. And I love Respawn Entertainment for what they did. They basically kept this project from EA. EA even said they had no idea that essentially they had no idea that Apex Legends was going on. They probably knew that Titanfall 3 was in development, which is what Apex was supposed to be. But they didn't realize that Respawn had just turned it around and said, you know what? We can't meet EA's demands. EA's demands. Because they wanted it done in a certain time, and Respawn had the know-how and the knowledge to know that they weren't going to finish what EA wanted. So instead, they created this game that EA didn't know about, and they turned it into something that is the biggest moneymaker that EA has had in a while. And, you know, okay, we can, FIFA and whatnot, but fuck sports, all right? I love watching sports. I don't give a shit about the sports games. They're a fucking cash grab. That's all they are. They're garbage. They're the same shit every year. Why do you people buy them? But Apex Legends dug them, apparently, this is not my opinion, but apparently dug them out of a hole that they were in. And we all know what hole that was created by. So overall, we've got two perfect examples. And the funniest part is that you got Anthem release and you got Apex release in the same month. Well, roughly in the same time period, but basically
very close.
Very close. And they're competing with each other.
And it's funny, to see that, right? It's like completely opposite spectrums. It's like one that's like literally crushing it, like everyone loves it and is playing it, and the other one is just rock bottom right now. Yeah. Like some people got it and like, again, had high hopes, and here we go.
There are 3 examples that I can think of EA competing within its own company. Medal of Honor.
Is bipolar, man.
Yeah. EA competes with itself constantly. Medal of Honor and Battlefield. They ditched Medal of Honor because they had 2 modern warfare type games.
That's true, yeah.
Titanfall and Battlefield. Titanfall got overshadowed by Battlefield because they released Titanfall just after Battlefield 1. Titanfall 2 was released
which was
days.
Which was really dumb on their part, because if they had the timing there is what really just caused that, right? It was if they had just waited and released Titanfall like on a time where there's really not much going on, it would have had way more success, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was a fantastic campaign. I'm actually replaying it, as we speak on my stream. Twitch.tv/gamers platform. So it's shameless plug, but it honestly, I'm playing it on my stream and I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty. Believe it or not as hard as like veteran difficulty on Call of Duty. So I'm happy about that, but it is still very difficult. I'm reminded of how fantastic this campaign is. The dialogue, the storytelling, the relationship between the pilot Jack Cooper and BT, your Titan. It is phenomenal. It is phenomenally written. But the last comparison now, of course, is Anthem and Apex. Now Apex is doing the damage, and Anthem is not. So we're talking like 3 times in the last 3 years that EA has literally shot themselves in the foot and pinned 2 of its own games against each other. It's like they want to eat themselves from the inside out. I don't understand the mentality of this company. And I know we're getting way off track from the main point here, but I mean, that's kind of the point. I mean, we're just kind of trying to fill in hours.
No, I mean, you're right, but the whole thing of the podcast for today, right, is just the fact that like, hey, hint, not every fucking game needs to have multiplayer. Right? That's literally like, imagine buying RE2 right now, and then psych, it's actually a free-for-all open world where some people are zombies and some people are people. Like,
yeah.
Can you imagine like the hellfire that would rain upon that game if that was what they did?
Here's the thing, though. I thought co-op was actually part of the game. Like one person could be Leon, one person could be
I actually thought that
Claire.
too. Yeah, and I'm glad it's not like that actually, because it's like the original. They stuck with exactly what they intended to do, was just remaster the game and just, it's a single player game. There's nothing, you're not playing with literally anyone,
remake. Okay.
Yeah.
Remaster.
I don't know what this fucking craze is. Multiplayer, like every game now needing to have multiplayer.
Speaking of which, by the way, don't mean to cut you off, but I tried Modern Warfare 1, is free on PlayStation Plus right now. I played it a little bit before, and it's the footage you guys are probably seeing on screen right now if you're watching this on YouTube, but I got to play it. Holy shit, it feels amazing. Like, I remember, it's just like I remember. And I played Modern Warfare 1 the other day on the PS3, and I was like, this is amazing. I'm reliving the good old days of gaming. And then the remastered version comes out for free on PlayStation Plus, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm reliving the good old days of gaming. So it's like, it's updated, the sounds are awesome, the graphics look amazing, but it's still the game that I remember. And yeah, this craze with remastering games is gone insane. I could even say that even though, it's updated graphics and stuff, that Modern Warfare Remastered is actually a remake, I think, personally, because of the fact that it's updated graphics, it's updated game mechanics, and but they kept a lot of the original stuff. Like, for those of you who have played the original Call of Duty 4, you know what the level up sound sounds like. You know what the hit marker sounds like. And it's just, it's so buttery and it's so smooth. And it's just, it reminds you of when games were good, when Activision was in a shithead, and it's just like, it's so good. Anyway, off topic. But, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what Resident Evil 2 would be like. I mean, again, I'm a huge co-op fan, so I might be okay with a co-op in that, because then you get to play both stories at the same time. But it would not be as amazing as it is right now if it did have it. So Capcom made the conscientious decision to not include that in their game, even though it very easily could have. They decided not to, and I applaud them for that. Also, by the way, heard Devil May Cry is phenomenal, and I played the demo and I loved it. And so, barring the microtransactions that exist, I think based on what I saw, you can make enough orbs, red orbs, to actually, get what you need. So I might actually be getting the game. Not anytime soon, but I will definitely get the game. That's just a Capcom thing. But overall, again, that's a perfect example, Dimitri, that you pointed out with Resident Evil 2. Had co-op been implemented in Resident Evil 2, it may not be as good as it is now. And I think you're right. It needed to be original. It needed to be the way it was, which is single player. Because if you're working with somebody, we all know, with Resident Evil 5, it was co-op. Resident Evil 6, it was co-op. Wasn't as scary. But Resident Evil 2, the remake, scares the shit out of me. Mr. X is
Right.
chasing me around. I've got no ammo. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? I don't know what to do. And I'm scared because I hear the foot stomps. And, I mean, it'd be better if it was Thomas the Tank Engine, but it's just not working for me. Like, it's Mr. X. It's that faceless motherfucker. And it's just, he scares the shit out of me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I forget the last time we had like a good, well, actually it was last year, which was God of War because it got Game of the Year. But I mean, like, that's all we hear, right? Is like, that like what one game for the entire year came out that was a single player game that was good.
Oh, I'm gonna actually just mention, by the way, God of War, and sadly enough, these are all PlayStation exclusives, or sadly for some of you people that play Xbox, but really awesome if you actually love PlayStation like I do. God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Spider-Man, all within the last 2 years, have stolen the show, and they're all, say it with me now, single player games. And God of War won Game of the Year. Yeah. God of War won Game of the Year because they took their time. They told a great story. They had fantastic dialogue. They had amazing voice actors. They had a brilliantly done soundtrack. And it's my game of the century. I'm not even joking about that. Like, if you watch my playthrough on my website, gamersplatform.net, it really, like, at the end, and it's way past time for spoilers, but at the end of the game, I was crying on the inside but laughing on the outside because it was so good. It was so good. And I highly recommend it for anybody who has a PlayStation. If you haven't played God of War, or even any of these other games, Spider-Man and Horizon Zero Dawn, they're all exclusives to PlayStation, and you want a good single-player experience, any of those games will give it to you. Hands down. And it's proof that not every game needs to be a live service. Not every game needs to be a multiplayer game. And I will tell you, God of War tried multiplayer at one point. God of War Ascension actually had multiplayer, and I never played it, but I looked at it and I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Or exactly, like, why attempt it? Because, the game companies, they try, like, they have solid, like, franchises that are like have always been single player, and
Right.
now it's like one other company attempts this like live service thing, and they like killed it, right? And I almost want to say, like, this definitely has occurred probably in the past decade, right? Like, where it was one game, and I'm not going to remember any of this shit off the top of my head, but like, you know, they implemented this live service and it took off, right? And I almost want to say, now this statistic doesn't make any fucking sense at all, but like, just I'm reminded of myself when we were younger, right? And we had so much free time, like we could dump all that time into those online multiplayer games, right? Because you're still in school, you're like playing all this fucking shit, whatever, like you have the time for it. Now it's like all these live service games that are coming out, I almost want to say, like, it's kind of us, right, that are still playing it. And if you look, like, we grew up, right, and like we don't have that time to like put into those games anymore, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like the younger generation, like, they're not gonna, I mean, they're playing, I'm sure, but like, let's be honest, all the young kids are just fucking playing Fortnite. At this point, that's it. I don't even know if they know what any other console is, which is a goddamn shame, because but it's just is it a fad, or is it similar to the BR phase kind of thing, right? Will this ever go away? Are we going to see a big uprising in some kick-ass single-player games in the next few years? I sure as hell hope so, because I forget the last time I had like a captivating, like, oh shit, you know, story's on point, like gameplay's awesome, everything's smooth.
Well, Dimitri,
it hasn't been that, you know.
All I gotta say, I know you just built a brand new computer, but God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, they're great. They are fantastic games if you're really looking.
Buy a PS4.
Buy a PS4. And
Seriously though, like it makes me want to.
Again, I'm a huge Sony fan. I have the PS2, PS3, PS4, 2 PSPs, and a PS Vita. I'm obviously a fan of theirs, but I wholeheartedly admit that the 360 was the superior system last generation, not because of its exclusives, but because it was just a better running system. But when it comes to exclusives, nobody outdoes Sony in that market between those two companies. Let's exclude Nintendo for a second because clearly they have nothing but exclusives. But nobody does it better than Sony between Microsoft and them. And if you really want fantastic single-player experiences, Sony's the way to go when choosing between PS4 or Xbox. I'm clearly driving home the fact that I'm not including Nintendo because Nintendo, they're the kings of exclusives. That's just the way they are.
Right. Yeah. And then they don't have any like crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have like awesome single player games, like the entire Zelda franchise. Right.
And you have a Switch now.
Phenomenal. I do. Yes. Breath of the Wild is phenomenal.
Mm. You're gonna have to edit that in.
Flashbacks. Oh my god, I did it again.
But the bottom line is that you can have a good experience without multiplayer, and so before Anthem was released, they were saying that they're looking into adding in PvP, and I'm like, the only question that came to mind is why would you do that? That's like a last ditch effort. That's a cry for help at that point. You know what I mean? Because they know they know that it's failing miserably. So their last hope is like, right, exactly. So now they know that, oh my God, BRs are a thing, and we see Apex is a very competitive game, and people love to be on top. So let's just fucking throw in PvP into this game too. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Because Destiny tried it, and it was garbage. Oh God, the PvP in Destiny is not what they said. It is shit.
No, it's shit. That let's just drive in the fact, right? Because it's, again, Destiny pulled the same thing where they had an idea where it was, live service game with like all this content, whatever, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, that was the first one in a long time that I feel like people really like. There's a big fan base still, even for the game, even though it's like not kind of relevant anymore. People are still are like diehard fans of that game, and they still play it.
Right.
But
go ahead.
I'll go.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Like, they try these and we see it in a lot of other games too. Like when their main when the core idea for the game doesn't work, they try to branch it out and try to try new things and invent new shit into it. And it's like, to me, in my eyes, it's like you're just crying out for help at that point. You fucked up. Let it die. Spend whatever it may be, Jesus Christ, 10 years, right? Put aside 10 years and actually put out something that is worth the money and is that will actually, people will love, that will go down in history.
Like Star Citizen. Star Citizen has been in development for, and again, I'm going to stand by my point. They've been in development since 2011. Okay. So we're talking 8 years. The game's not even released yet.
Right, but aren't you still slightly nervous, right? Because once you see something like that, that's still that long in development, you still have those fears of fuck, because look at everything around us. Anthem, prime example. Something that's been in development for that long, and then what's there to actually show for it? Nothing.
Right. And so for Star Citizen, I have different fears, okay? I have no doubt Chris Roberts can put out a good game. He put out the Wing Commander series. That was his baby back in the day. He clearly proved himself over and over and over again. But my problem with Star Citizen is the fact that he keeps hyping it up by letting people play it, by letting people try these new modules, by releasing these new modules. Hey, look, you can walk around the hangar and check out your ships. Hey, look, you can start flying it around. You can do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, the game's not finished. And so people are just trying something that may or may not be in the game. And so I feel like he's hyping too much, because there is such a thing as too much.
Oh, of course there is. There's that happens all the time. I'm trying to think of actually some recently.
Anthem.
Oh no, not even Anthem. No, well, yeah, Anthem for sure. But no, the other space game. It came out like 2 years ago.
Oh, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, exactly right.
Yeah.
Do you remember the hype for that shit? It was insane. Even actually, even DayZ standalone. I don't know if you ever followed that, but I was hyped about that.
I played DayZ. No, I didn't play DayZ. I played the mod.
The Armor 3 mod, probably.
The Armor 2 mod.
Oh, okay.
I played the original DayZ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But regardless, yeah, they announced we're making a standalone for it, and the amount of copies that they sold on release day was I remember reading an article. It was crazy, because the fan base was just massive, because anyone that played the mod was like, oh shit, oh my god, DayZ's coming out, whatever. And then what are we left with? Literally a game where you spawn into this giant fucking map. You can't find a goddamn gun to save your life.
Yeah.
There's no zombies. There's no loot. There's literally nothing, and that's similar to No Man's Sky, where it was all these planets and whatever, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
All they made was this environment with no content in it.
Yeah. And that's bringing us right back to Anthem. Same idea. The problem with No Man's Sky is that Sean Murray didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he fully admitted that. And I commend him for admitting that he was wrong. At least he was in the mindset that he realized that what he did was stupid. Because he's not a PR guy, he's a developer. So he's going out there telling people and promising things, and he's not aware of the fact that he's literally damaging his reputation. But again, it brings us back to Anthem. They hyped up Anthem to no end. It's going to be amazing. It's going to have all this stuff, and it comes out and it has nothing. Whereas Apex, what did Apex do? Said nothing.
No announcement. No anything. Right.
They had an announcement an announcement stream that lasted 4.5 hours. It showed you one part, pictures of a part of the map, and then for a half hour they told you about the game, and that was it. Now it has, by the way, I don't know if you heard, Meech, 50 million subscribed users.
That's disgusting.
In a month! In a month! And it's just there was nothing around this game. And now EA's well, I guess we should trust our developers now. No shit. Of course you should trust your developers. That's the point of hiring them. We could relate this. We could relate this to our everyday job, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna not bring that into the podcast. I'm just gonna say that when you hire or when you buy developers, you need to trust them. If they prove themselves untrustworthy, then you can step in. But as a publisher, okay, and I would love to have Gamers Platform be a publisher, but if you're a publisher, your job is to provide the money and do the marketing. Don't tell the developer what to do. They already know what they're supposed to do. Just let them do what they need to do to make the best game they can make. Let them express their vision. And if it turns out to be shit, then you tell them. If you and drop them if you need to. But if it turns out to be a brilliant idea, like Apex Legends, Respawn made no effort to let EA know what they were doing. And look what happened. They're making them tons of money. And look what happened with Anthem. EA had Anthem by the balls. And said
they put their hands too deep in the pot.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
And look what happened to it. It's tanking horribly because BioWare could not make the game they wanted.
No. And which is really sad because the potential I think was still there.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to know how much EA dictated within that game because it seems
nice
yeah, right, which unfortunately none of us obviously will know, but Um, yeah, it just and we, this isn't the first game that it's happened on EA. You know what I mean?
Oh, and it won't be the last.
It won't be the last, exactly. Which is, I don't know why publishers always like, or not publishers. I'm sorry, EA's publisher. But why do these game companies? Well, no, that kind of just answers my own question in my head, because who else are you gonna go? Who else are you gonna go to? Right? You're gonna go to the biggest and I'm not gonna say the best, but you're gonna go to the biggest, because obviously they're gonna give you an offer that you can't refuse ultimately.
Yes.
Which
EA
is really, really
can basically
shitty.
be seen as the godfather of the gaming industry. Even though Activision is really big, EA is literally, and this is by statistics alone, EA is the largest publishing company in the world. I think.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it was recently brought to my attention, of course, that Tencent, the guys who are from China, is the biggest publishing company in the world. I really don't know. Maybe they are, because they're also in the mobile market. So maybe they're a little bit above EA. But if we're talking American companies, EA is the largest company in the world, because they have literally every sports game under their finger. They have some of the biggest developers under their name: DICE, BioWare, Respawn Entertainment. These are huge developers, and now they have some indie developers that have done well for them. If Dimitri, you remember A Way Out, the indie title that came out a couple years ago, it sold 1 million copies within I think it was like a week or something.
Wow, yeah.
So an indie title that was purely co-op. I mean, you could play it single player, but if you played it co-op, it's a really interesting concept. You remember the days when split screen was a thing. Well, this game literally takes the idea of...
Exactly, right, yeah. I actually brought it up, remember? I think we were talking about it.
Yes, you did. And it was really cool because no matter whether you played together in the same console or online, it was split screen no matter what, which is really cool. So, but it sold 1 million copies like within the first week or something like that. I can't remember. If you guys know, let us know in the comments below, or let us know at our Twitter handle at HotBar PodCast. But I'm pretty sure it was, within a week it sold 1 million copies. An indie title. And so we've got that and Apex Legends proving that if EA doesn't bother to touch the title, it does well. I mean, it's just bottom line. EA, quit fucking with your titles, and they'll do well. How about that? So overall, it's just, I guess the message is, and this is kind of gone off on a tangent. But
as it always does.
But you know what? If it makes good content, who cares? The bottom line is, not every game needs to be multiplayer. And Anthem is perfect proof of that. If it was a single-player game, it probably would have done way better, because they would have directed their resources to something else, more towards telling a great story, more towards making the gameplay solid, and more towards creating a new franchise that EA can be proud of. But instead, EA had to dip their hand in a product that they had no business touching. And honestly, I really want my future concept is to make Gamers Platform a publishing company. I would love for that to happen, because I want to prove that publishing companies can be good. They can be anything but an Activision or an EA. If I had my brand be a publishing company, all I would do is handle the money and handle the marketing. That's all they're supposed to do. So, word of advice, EA, don't touch your games. And it's a really contradictory statement, but don't fucking touch your games. Let the developers do what they need to do. Trust your developers. If you don't trust your developers, then who are you? You're some asshole company that everybody sees as an asshole. So,
right.
Stop
and
touching
stop
games.
adding. Yeah, stop adding useless, dumb, fucking microtransactions into every game.
Agreed.
It doesn't do anything, though.
Doesn't help. You're trying to take stuff out of your games and resell them to us. It doesn't help. And multiplayer doesn't help every game. You don't have to compete with Destiny. Destiny's not relevant anymore. I don't know if you know this, but Destiny was relevant like 5 years ago. So stop it. Destiny,
Think of something new.
Yeah, Destiny was relevant in 2013 when it became a new IP. We'll see if Destiny can actually still be relevant now that Bungie has the rights to do with it what they want. So overall, Anthem should not have been a multiplayer game. You should have let BioWare do what they wanted. And you probably wouldn't have to worry about people backlashing against it. It would have been fine. But because you decided that it was a good idea to compete with a game that's not relevant anymore, that's your own damn fault. The problem is that I feel the need, and I'm not going to until it comes down to price, but I feel the need to buy Anthem because I don't want to see BioWare tank. They're one of my favorite developers.
Don't do it. Nope. Don't do it.
No, I won't buy it now. I'll wait till it goes on sale for a ridiculous amount of money. But overall, I don't want to see BioWare go under. They are one of my favorite developers. They've created one of the greatest series of all time. And I think they deserve a shot at creating something wonderful because I know they can.
You know what I'm going to do now after this discussion?
Okay.
I'm going to play Half-Life 2 again for the 100th time in hopes that maybe Valve will get their fucking heads out of their asses and I don't know, maybe make Half-Life 3.
It would be a novel idea.
If that please, Gabe Newell, please. for listening.
Lord Gaben.
Lord Gaben, please make Half-Life 3. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll be your slave. Seriously though, like, god damn it. Just do it, dude.
There's no explanation. Just
it's so funny, but like the memes around that are like so true. Can you imagine the announcement at like an E3 event and it's just like fucking it's just the logo pops up? I think literally people will start like moshing and like punching each other in the face. They would like lose their minds over this shit.
Oh yeah,
like
dude.
The internet will literally break that day.
I'm not kidding. If you look up the announcement of Fallout 4, it pretty much would be like that, but like tenfold.
Literally, yeah, exactly. And even again, you just brought up another game like fucking Fallout 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. Never mind. That one actually did pretty good.
Fallout 76.
Fallout 76.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought of. Yeah. Which actually, again, though, literally perfect example. Why? Why the fuck did you make it a multiplayer game?
Yeah.
Like that was something that was supposed to be. Look at your franchise. They were all single player. They were amazing franchises, and then you decide, hey, we're actually going to get rid of all the NPCs, and now it's just this multiplayer piece of shit with literally nothing in it. Cool, yeah, that sounds fun. Like everyone's going to try and do that. No, it didn't work. If you know that something is working, don't reinvent the wheel. Continue. Right. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say don't keep putting out, don't be call a diddle and fucking make a new game every 6 months because that's just stupid. Yeah. At that point, you're literally recycling the franchise over and over. And that's literally every sports game. It's the same shit every year.
Yep.
But people still buy it because now Hernandez is on the team, but whatever. Filipino Jose is so fucking racist. Is not on the team.
God, you're not wrong though.
Literally, see, I'm not wrong though. That's literally what they literally just changed the lineup, but the game doesn't ever fucking change. That's it. Like, we actually made it now, so everybody on the team used Head and Shoulders, and you can actually see their hair flopping left and right. The physics there are so cool now. It's like, all right, awesome.
I've been saying that for years. Bring out one game and just update it. That's literally all, because that's all that ever happens in sports games. Like, bring out a new one maybe every 5 years or 10 years.
There you go. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I agree there. Do one exactly when the engines change and when, like, the new systems come out. There you go. Perfect. Sure. Do it that way.
But update the rosters. That's all. People will be willing to pay for that.
Right, but people are fucking stupid, and when they see, NFL 2012, I need that next year. Oh, NFL 2013, I need that.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is still on the fucking roster because he's the best and he's never gonna leave. But
which, by the way, people are fucking stupid, but our audience is awesome. Thank you very much for listening and watching.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just overall, I guess. Before we end the podcast, I do have to mention, Meech, I don't know if you heard, but a guy recently got banned from Anthem. And it was for, take a guess, for literally... No, for playing the game. Okay? And here's...
all right, you gotta explain?
Yeah, I'm going to explain real quick here.
Was it like anything to do with mods? Did they pull a GTA 5?
No.
Okay.
What happened is he used the in-game mechanics to his advantage. He went around, there's these chests all over Anthem that you can collect loot from. So what did he do? He found out where the chests were. So he's going around finding out where all the chests are, looting from them, getting better gear than he would have gotten from any of the dungeons that he made, which, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, Grandmaster level 3, you only have 3 dungeons you run, apparently. And you loot from the same fucking chests. And you get jacked shit for either one of them. So...
see, the fact that you even told me that is just... why?
Right. And so...
like, that was... all right, sorry.
Sorry. So what this guy did was, he said, I'm going to go find the chests that are in the world, and I'm going to see what's in them. He ended up getting better loot. But because the game, I think the game, either that or, BioWare was monitoring, saw that he was getting better loot that they programmed into the game than what he would have gotten if he just grinded out the dungeons and whatnot. He got banned, literally banned. I'm not talking suspended, banned from the game. And a similar situation happened just before that with Fallout 76. Some dude put like 900 hours into the game, which, more power to you, dude. Like, 900 hours into a piece of shit game. More power to you. But he put 900 hours into the game. He had so much ammo that BioWare, or whatever system they implemented into their game, didn't know the difference between a person playing the game for 900 hours and somebody duplicating an item, and it banned him from the game just from playing it legitimately.
That's so stupid.
So it's like, you guys need to get your shit straight. This guy was going around playing the game the way it was meant to be played, and you banned him. So we are not even safe from just by playing the games legitimately. And that's the worst feeling of all. We can't even play these games fairly anymore because we're automatically, called cheaters. I've seen people who are pros at certain games, Battlefield, Apex, CSGO, have been called out for cheating, for being a hacker, just because they're really good at the game. It's like, you're not safe.
Yeah. No, I mean, the hacker thing I understand. I mean, that's just literally people getting butt hurt, and that's stupid. But the fact that in the scenario you just brought up, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if I was that dude, I would be fighting to prove a point, and like I would be rioting and hopefully like get a team behind me of people to prove, like, guys, really, you're gonna stoop that low?
Yeah.
Like, if anything, like, I discovered a bug that you now need to fix within your own game. You're gonna just say fuck you and ban me? Like, that is as low that you can get. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would understand. It'd be different, I think, if now I don't know if this is even a thing in Anthem, but if there was like a marketplace for trading and like you can trade items with people, or you can like. Is that a thing? I don't know. I haven't heard any of that shit yet, right? Isn't it just like you can only find your own loot, I think?
As far as I know, yeah, it works similar to...
kind of Destiny, right? Because you can't trade in Destiny? Oh, Diablo. Okay.
And Destiny, too. I don't think you can trade in Destiny as well, but... yeah, it's...
Well, anyways.
Anyway.
Yeah, the point, though, is the fact that, like, he's not... It's literally, he's just doing it for himself. So basically, he's just getting super OP and super jacked. But who the fuck cares, right? It's still technically the game is over at that point. You're just getting you beat the game, quote unquote, and you're just doing dungeons, and now there's nothing else. You know what I mean? There's no PvP, there's no multiplayer, there's none of that. Well, sorry, there's multiplayer, but there's no like if you were able to like duplicate the best gun in the game and start like giving it to people, that's kind of
a bannable
stupid.
offense. Yeah.
That is a bannable offense, right? But even then, you can still kind of fight your way and prove like, hey, why are you going to ban me? Because technically, it's in the game. You should patch it and like fix it and unban me. Don't be a fucking scumbag. I just found something in your game. Fuckers.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing though. Is these chests were placed by BioWare in their game. They were programmed into the game to be found. So. And by the way, the guy that got banned, his name is Glad, Gladd, over on YouTube. I don't watch him personally, but I think what happened to him is really shitty. So hopefully he gets unbanned. He can work things out with BioWare. But the bottom line is he got banned for playing the game. That's all I can say.
Actually, it's even more shitty because now that I think of all the like old school MMOs that we used to play where literally you could actually there were things called like chest runs. Mm-hmm. You would run around an area. I remember one of the things that I used to do in Guild Wars, buy a fuck ton of keys or lockpicks, run around a very the chests were random, you know. In this scenario in Anthem, apparently they're always in that same spot, right? That's what you were saying?
As far as I know. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure they're the same spot. They're not randomized.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, kind of regardless, same scenario, right? Like, what's the difference? You know, back in fucking I don't even know how far I got to go back. 07, 09, I don't know the dates, but whatever, way back. You know, I'm doing chest runs. I'm running around and literally just I'm avoiding all fighting. I have a build specifically for me to fucking just run like a Kenyan and get to the chest, and that's it. I open it, I get it, and I run out.
No filters, people. No filters.
Not today. Not today. By the way, what are we drinking?
Yeah, you know. Completely forgot. We just got into the whole thing. Well,
Adam blew it once again.
I just finished, I think, my third cranberry and vodka, and it's not like normal cranberry. I actually went with cran raspberry, and it's not bad.
Oh,
so nice. I'm feeling pretty good,
dude. I've been on a kick on those, and they're awesome.
They are.
I changed it up though.
Especially with
I got very fancy today.
Okay.
And very sophisticated as well. I had a glass of Chardonnay.
Chardonnay, I've never had. I'm
totally lying. I think one of them was a Chardonnay. I just mixed like 3 bottles of wine, so.
Wow. You went all out on this one.
I did.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about it at the beginning of the podcast, and then we just kind of got off topic, and it's like, I was like, fuck it, whatever. We'll mention it at some point, but we are going to have to end this podcast at some point, which the end would be right now. So, overall...
Okay, bye.
Yeah, overall, we don't feel, and I know that we're agreeing, that's going to piss a few people off. Joe. But we are in agreement that multiplayer does not need to be in every single game, and Anthem is a perfect example as to what not to do with your game. If it doesn't need it, don't put it in. Destiny was built from the ground up with multiplayer in mind. Other games, Division 2, Ghost Recon Wildlands, they were built with multiplayer in mind, but they did not forget the single player experience. You can play The Division, you can play Ghost Recon, you can play Destiny all by yourself, barring a few things. But that's about it. Like, they had that in mind, and they adapted with, the game with that in mind. Anthem did not. So, don't put multiplayer in your games if it doesn't need it. Bottom line. But that's going to do it for us today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for episode 5 of the HotBar podcast. Let us know what you think in the comments on YouTube down below. If you are listening to this podcast on either Spotify or iTunes or even SoundCloud, hit us up at Twitter at HotBar PodCast and let us know what your thoughts are on that platform. What do you think of multiplayer? Do you think do you think every game should have at least some moniker of a multiplayer, co-op or otherwise? Or do you think that if it's meant to be a single player game, it deserves to be a single player game? Let us know in those comments down below or on our Twitter, again, at HotBar Podcast. And as always, I'm Adam Wolf, he's Dmitry Setchnikov, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Babushki.